Trying to select one Bresson picture is a bit, well, it's like trying to choose your best, favourite pop song. There's 1,000 out there, but quite often when I'm looking through the viewfinder of my camera, especially if I'm doing groups, of 3 women, I have this image in the back of my head. The problem with influential images, in my book, literally in this case, is that you want to be inspired by them, but you want to get away from them. You want to kind of clean the slate, and that's what I've been struggling with ever since 1969. I've wanted to get back to having what I've come to call an innocent eye. That's going to become my catchphrase. So that you don't have this burden of history and a million images that you've seen that in the back of your head every time you look through the camera. I could have chosen another 20 images at least, but this I come back to again and again because of the arrangement, the mystery of it, who these people are, what exactly is happening, the wonderful arrangement of limbs and expressions, the lens quality, the sort of wide angleness of it. I love it. Josef, Koudelka. I know that Koudelka used a Leica, but he had on it something like a Canon lens that normally you wouldn't think to use on the front of a Leica, but I don't know how he fitted it on, probably just some straightforward adapter, but it had this unusual angle of view. It was something like a 23mm. Like in those days it was 20 or 24 or 28 or 35, but like 23. That appealed to me as well. And it appealed to me in a way that it was like, sort of strung together. He tied it up like he slept on the floor with the gypsies. He lived a rough life. He fixed this lens to his camera, although it wasn't meant to be fitted on that camera. He managed to do it. It was really a creative, practical thinking I really admired. And also, it's like he's not a fusspot about quality. Well, okay, obviously there's a degree of quality. He wants the quality to be good enough that it talks to you, but he's not about fine grain and resolution. It's about the emotion in the shot, and it's pretty black and white. There's not a lot of midtones, but it just doesn't matter, And people these days who go bang on about resolution and all this stuff, digital is not as good as film because the resolution isn't as good, or whatever it is about. I really get impatient with that, because that's just like that's secondary. What it's about is how much heart's in the picture, and for me, someone like Koudelka is like all heart, with fantastic technique, which I presume he doesn't think about much. He just does it. It comes from his guts, and I think that shows in these pictures. So, Lee Friedlander. So, if I had to choose one of these, I think it would probably be the one that I kind of thought at the time, that really summed him up. There he was in the mirror, not in the mirror, in the window. He also appears to be in a mirror, inside and behind the window that he's shooting through. And so there's everything behind him. There's not much actually in the store of the window that he's looking through. If it is a store, whatever it is, you can't really tell. I mean, those aren't intrinsically what the picture's about, but it just adds that air of, mystery, and you wonder about the connection between people. And I like the composition. I like the formal, geometric composition. Diane Arbus. I just love this image, and I would love to take this with me underground forever. I would probably never want the apocalypse to be over if I had this on the wall. If I actually had a Diane Arbus print of this, I'd want to stay underground forever just looking at it. And not just because, as I've noticed for the first time, you can see one nipple. It's just it's about so many things. It's got religious connotations twice over. Not only has she got her arms outstretched like she's crucified, but the sword also is like a cross. And then she's got two swords stuck down her gullet, and she's just doing it, like it was. Oh yeah, okay, I can do this anywhere, anytime. I envy this picture. I want this to be my picture. And if I did take it with me into St Pancras, I probably would sign it, because no one would know the difference anyway. So I'm sure Diane wouldn't mind. She was that weird, so they say. The advantage of choosing a Toni Ray Jones picture, and this one in particular, is that I actually have the print. So I could actually take a print of this with me into my apocalyptic bunker. I wouldn't have to order it or anything, or cut it out of a book. I actually have a print, not made by him, but made from his negative, obviously, by another photographer called John Benton Harris. Thank you, John. Anyway, less of that, more about composition. Don't you just love the composition of that? I love the fact that it's like very central. The main thing is very central, but it's surrounded by stuff which is like going on all over the show. Everyone's looking in different directions. No one seems to be looking at the photographer except possibly this woman. I have heard that Toni knows these two people. But anyway, who cares whether you know them or not? In this case, he's captured something which is like universal, and it's a wonderful pose. She's beautiful. Look out at St Pancras, or look out St Pancras. You don't know what's in store for you. Right, this was shot, and by the way, this is my shot. This is the shot I'm going to take to remind myself of myself in St Pancras. I like this for a lot of reasons. It was shot in the 80s for a project that I was asked to do by someone who worked at the Photographers Gallery. And it was winter, and there was no one around, and it was a good time to relay the track. And there was a bunch of people behind me. There must have been 30 gangers who were moving rail around with this sort of big contraption, and this guy was the lookout, and he had a silver bugle to blow when he saw a train bearing down on them, and of course there wouldn't have been any because there was a rail strike on, but anyway they had to have him there. And as soon as I saw him I thought, I like your style. And he wasn't blowing that because there was a train showing up, but I said, go on, give us a toot on that. And actually it's become known as Toot Toot, as far as I can recall. Yeah, it is Toot Toot.
The next two pictures I'm going to take to show you are both based on Americana, a very different one. Now this is William Eggleston. He chose to use colour photography in 1970 something. Apparently caused a bit of a stir, but not that I'm bothered about that. He was very interested in the idea of colour photography. He took photos of things that were not worthy of wasting your money on, and he chose to photograph rubbish, but in particular he used flash, and he photographed under somebody's bed. You can't really emphasise how important and how ridiculous or how powerful this actually is.